जय राधा माधवा कुंज बिहारी। गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी। जय गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी। यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजना। यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजना। यमुना तीरा वनचारी। यमुना तीरा वनचारी। जय राधा माधवा कुंज बिहारी। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे रामा राम राम हरे हरे। जय राधा माधव राधा माधव राधे। जय पंचतत्व जय पंचतत्व, पंचतत्व जय पंचतत्व। जय नरसिंहदेव जय प्रहलाद महाराज। नरसिंहदेव जय प्रहलाद महाराज। जय जगन्नाथ जय जगन्नाथ, जय बालदेवा जय सुभद्रा देवी। जय जय प्रभुपाद प्रभुपाद प्रभुपाद, जय जय प्रभुपाद। निताय गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल, निताय गौर हरि बोल। जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्रजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर श्री श्रीमद इस डिवाइन ग्रेस एसी भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। इस्कॉन संस्थापक आचार्य श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। ब्रह्म मध्व गौड़ीय आचार्य वृंद की जय। नामाचार्य श्रील हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय। वृंदावन धाम की जय। नवदीप धाम की जय। मायापुर धाम की जय। गंगा माई की जय। यमुना माई की जय। तुलसी देवी की जय। भक्ति देवी की जय। सामवेद गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, All glories, all glories, all glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd Canto, Chapter 26, titled Fundamental Principles of Material Nature, text number 17. Prakṛter guṇa-sāmyasya nirviśeṣasya mānavi ceṣṭā yataḥ bhagavān kāla iti upalakṣitaḥ. Prakṛter guṇa-sāmyasya nirviśeṣasya mānavi ceṣṭā yataḥ bhagavān kāla iti upalakṣitaḥ. Prakṛter guṇa-sāmyasya nirviśeṣasya mānavi ceṣṭā yataḥ bhagavān kāla iti upalakṣitaḥ. ceṣṭā yataḥ bhagavān kāla iti upalakṣitaḥ. Prakṛter guṇa-sāmyasya nirviśeṣasya mānavi ceṣṭā yataḥ bhagavān kāla iti upalakṣitaḥ. Vaishnavis, prakṛter guṇa-sāmyasya nirviśeṣasya mānavi ceṣṭā yataḥ bhagavān kāla iti upalakṣitaḥ. Prakṛter guṇa-sāmyasya nirviśeṣasya mānavi ceṣṭā yataḥ bhagavān kāla iti upalakṣitaḥ. Prakriti of material nature, guṇa-sāmyasya, without interaction of the three modes, nirviśeṣasya, I got it right this time, without specific qualities. Mānavi, O daughter of Manu. ceṣṭā, movement. Yataḥ, from whom. Saha, he. Bhagavān, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Kālaḥ, time. iti, thus. Upalakṣitaḥ is designated. Translated, kindly repeat. My dear mother, O daughter of Svāyambhuva Manu, the time factor, as I have explained, is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, from whom the creation begins as a result of the agitation of the neutral, unmanifested nature. Purport. The unmanifested state of material nature, pradhāna, is being explained. The Lord says that when the unmanifested material nature is agitated by the glance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, it begins to manifest itself in different ways. Before this agitation, it remains in neutral state without interaction by the three modes of material nature. In other words, material nature cannot produce any variety of manifestations without the contact of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is very nicely explained in Bhagavad-gītā. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is the cause of the products of material nature. Without his contact, material nature cannot produce anything. In Chaitanya Charitamrita also, a very suitable example is given in this connection. Although the nipples of a goat's neck appear to be breast nipples, they do not give milk. Similarly, material nature appears to the material scientists to act and react in a wonderful manner. But in reality, it cannot act without the agitator, time, who is the representation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When time agitates the neutral state of the material nature begins to produce varieties of manifestations. Ultimately, it is said that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the cause of creation. As a woman cannot produce children unless impregnated by a man, material nature cannot produce or manifest anything unless it is impregnated by the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the form of time factor. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine nirviśeṣasya Shunyavadi Paśyatya Deshatarine Vancha Kalpataro Vescha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So, this is the conversation between Mother Devahuti and Kapila Dev, the person who explained Sankhya Yoga in its true form, the true propagator of Sankhya Yoga. And the conversation takes place in the form of question and answers. So, when Mother Devahuti got her chance to seek guidance from Kapila Dev, the first question she asked, it was more like a request, how to dispel illusion. Yeah? Please guide me, I want to come out of illusion. And as a response to this question, Kapila Dev explained Adhyatmika Yoga. And Adhyatmika Yoga talks about Jnana, Ashtanga, and Bhakti, and establishes Bhakti as the topmost way to dispel illusion. Then Mother Devahuti asked the second question. So what kind of bhakti should one perform? Then Kapila Dev explained that for devotees who are in bhava, they should practice uttama bhakti. And devotees who are other level sadhakas, they practice Vaidhi bhakti. Of course, this is like chapters, many verses. I'm just giving overview like how I've heard from many senior devotees. And then question 3, Devahuti asks about Jnana Yoga and Karma Yoga. So what is the purpose? Already Kapila, they've established that bhakti is the way for dispelling illusion. So why at all? So the reason is to compare. You know, when you compare and contrast, things become, gold is very beautiful. But if you put it on a black velvet, the effect is much more. So sometimes we talk about gold, sometimes we say, tell me something about the black velvet. So bhakti is like gold. And when compared and contrasted with jnana and yoga, ashtanga yoga, the glory of bhakti pops out. You know, it gives that very nice effect. So that's the reason why she asked to explain a little bit about jnana and yoga, and with the different limbs of yoga, ashtanga yoga. So this session is answering the question related to Jnana. So question related to Jnana, Kapila Dev starts explaining Sankhya Yoga. Jnana means knowledge. And what is the knowledge? Knowledge is knowing about who is Krishna, who I am, and what's my relationship with him. That is ultimately knowledge. If you know that much, then we know everything. Krishna is Supreme Personality of Godhead. I am Spirit Soul, and my relationship with him is that I am his eternal servant. If we can know this, then we know everything in the world. You know, that's the essence of all scriptures. But because this is a compare and contrast, so there are things about this material world that are being explained. And Sankhya means count. The word Sankhya means to count. So Kapila Dev starts explaining Sankhya Yoga, where he counts out the knowledge of the material world. You know, how this material world is created. He starts counting out. So he talks about prakriti, which is the material energy. He talks about Purusha, which is the Supreme Lord, and he talks about their interaction. You know, how the interaction of Prakriti and Purusha, how it creates everything is material in this material world. You know, Virat, the Virat Roop, you know, everything. If you put everything together in this material world, that's called Virat. So that is this section. That is where we are going. That is what we are discussing. So he already explained Prakriti. He already explained Purusha. Who is Purusha? Purusha is the one who has no end, who has no beginning, who has no middle, and he is the resting place of all universes. You know, already that is explained. And Prakriti, what is Prakriti? He already explained the 24 elements, 5 gross elements, 3 subtle elements, 5 working senses, 5 knowledge acquiring senses, the 5 sense objects. You know, already he explained. Prakriti, Purusha, tick, tick. Now, the next idea is how do they interact? So here comes the 25th element. Yeah? Kapila Dev says they interact through this 25th element called time. And okay, if you count 5 gross elements, 5 senses, yeah, 3 subtle elements and chitta, consciousness, that counts as 24. Otherwise the count is 23, no? So that's 24. The 5 gross elements, the 5 working senses, 5 knowledge acquiring senses, sense objects, that's 20, and the 3 subtle elements, mind, intelligence, false ego, and then 1, chitta is consciousness. So all of them put together makes 24. So now this 24, when it reacts with Supreme Lord, there is the interaction. And that element that helps interaction is the 25th element called as kāla. And Kapila Muni explains two qualities of kāla. So the first quality is kāla induces the fear of death. That is the first nature of time. Everything, basically whatever he says, is all explained in Bhagavad-gītā by Krishna in short form. Same Krishna also says in Bhagavad-gītā in 10:30, he says, of all the subduers, I am time. Subduer means somebody who can control completely. So time can literally control everything. Even if you are like a big tyrant, when it's time to die, nobody can kill you. You are in some bunker, protected, this, that. You get a heart attack and die. You catch a cold and die. You know? So when time wants to act, nobody can act like time. You know? It can actually control everything. And that causes fear in people. Yeah? People are very afraid of time because time represents death. Arjuna, when asks Krishna, you know, oh, I am the of all the subduers, I am time. You know, Krishna says, I am this, I am that, I am that. In 10th chapter, no, whole vibhuti he gives. Then Arjuna says, may I see it, please? And then Krishna says, here you go, you know, whole Virat Rup, you know, the whole material creation is manifested. Yeah? And in 11:32, again Krishna says, Kalosmi lokasya pravriddho. I am the destroyer, the great destroyer of all the worlds. No? So time destroys all the worlds. And what else does it destroy? Loka samahartum. Destroys all the people. Literally everything. Time can destroy everything. You build some very, very exquisite monument. After a few hundred years, people will be digging it out from earth. Archaeological study. Yeah? All your great monuments become subject of archaeological study. You know, can be sent to dust by the influence of time. So time, the first nature of time is that it causes fear of destruction. Completely, it can destroy everything. Arjuna was afraid of that form. If Arjuna is like that, just imagine, you know, he looks at the form and he says, just like rivers enter into the ocean, and just like moth enters into fire, I see all the people of the world entering into your gaping mouth, and they're getting killed, you know, and it's so terrifying to see Krishna, you know. So that is one function of time. And the other function of time is explained in this verse. And that function is agitation of the neutral, unmanifested material nature. That is eventually it gives rise to the entire material creation. So Krishna is there, the elements are there, the prakriti is there. So Krishna interacts with the prakriti and it causes an expansion. So if we want to understand this, we can take this analogy of, Prabhupada gives two analogies. And there is this very simple thing that I heard somewhere. When we have a fizzy drink, like Sprite or something, that's inside the bottle. And if you do like this, you know, if you do that, literally agitate it, yeah? And then if you open the cap, what will happen? It's an expansion is there. So you can see even in this material world, when there is the correct elements present inside, if you put an element of agitation, it creates expansion. So many things will come. So Krishna, so is Krishna time? Yes, because time. So the person who's holding is like the Purusha. And the fizzy drink itself is like the prakriti. And the agitation is like, you know, that is the kāla, that is the time factor. It is the helping in creation. First is fear of destruction. The second one is creation. destruction, creation. So Krishna is there when creation happens. Krishna is there in the end when destruction happens. So Krishna is in between also. If somebody is in beginning of the race and somebody is in end of the race, obviously he is there throughout the race. Yeah? He is the maintainer also. And Kapila Dev will talk about it in future, in chapter 29. He'll explain how maintenance happens, how time maintains. Time destructs, time is also creating the agitating force that causes expansion and variety, and how time is also maintaining. That we will talk, he'll talk in greater detail later. So, because the agitation comes from the person, you could say that agitation is also the person. Yeah, Krishna, if without Krishna, that force will not come. So that, but in another sense, it's not the same. The force and the person are not the same. So Prabhupada explains this with an analogy of Brahma Samhita. Prabhupada quotes Brahma Samhita, milk and yogurt. Milk and yogurt are same, but they are not same. Similarly, this 25th element, kāla, because it comes from Krishna, it is Krishna, but at the same time, it is not exactly Krishna. So then the concept of the kāla Bhairav, Prabhupada explains kāla Bhairav. Kāla Bhairav is a form of Lord Shiva. You know, Krishna is like milk, and Lord Shiva, kāla Bhairav, is like yogurt. There is a vikara, there is a change. Some change happens, and when Krishna wants to deal with material world, he deals with material world. He is transcendental. He can never touch the material elements. He is beyond the material elements. So when he has to react with the material world, then he comes in the form of kāla Bhairav, you know, the master of time, which is Lord Shiva. And he provides that agitating potency that creates expansion. So in Bhagavad-gītā, Krishna only talks about it, yeah, that everything comes from me. And Bhagavatam, why is it master study? Because you will after this, the whole chapter will explain how aham sarvasya prabhavo. Time with this mode, time with that mode, this will come, that will come. How the expansion happens. How the fizzy drink in the bottle is going like, you know, the whole expansion. That's how Bhagavatam is master study, because fully it will start explaining how everything in this material world is an interaction of kāla with the different elements that have been explained before. Yeah? So that is the whole entire structure of the universe. You know, to the final dot, everything, how the expansion happens, it will be explained further. Yeah, it's coming. How time interacts with the material energy to produce varieties. So this verse particularly, Srila Prabhupada talks about the concept. It gives in the purport the analogy of the nipple in the neck of goat. So the nipple in the neck of goat, it looks very, very fashionable. You know, people who don't have proper knowledge may mistake it as nipple from where milk comes. But in reality, it's useless. It's just a decorative piece. It does not have any function. So he compares the understanding of the scientists to this understanding. If somebody is thinking the nipple in the neck of the goat is everything, how incomplete that understanding is. The same way the atheists and the scientists, when they think, oh, the material nature is so wonderful. There is sunset, there is sunrise, this chemical reacts with this. You know, they tend to see everything only in the terms of material nature without giving credit to the Supreme Lord. So when people are like that, they are seeing the picture very partially and they are getting a very wrong understanding. And it is as wrong as thinking the nipples in the neck of a goat is source of milk. Yeah, it's not source of milk, it is just a flesh. So similarly, material nature in itself is not a source of anything. Material nature cannot in itself produce anything. It just remains neutral, and in the verse we see the neutral and unmanifested. It just stays in one place and it doesn't show any variety. But when time touches it, as Srila Prabhupada explains, a woman, when it's not her correct age, she just is one person. But when she comes in touch with the man, then so many children come. Short, tall, white, so many varieties of creation, girl, boy, so many things come. So that creation happens because of being in touch with Purusha. And the variety happens because of being in touch with Purusha. So people who are nirviśeṣasya, in this verse, the word nirviśeṣasya, nirviśeṣasya literally means without specific quality. Yeah, so this verse is also a very strong verse to preach against those who are nirviśeṣavadis. They have also some misunderstanding. What is their misunderstanding? They think the variety in this material world, so many different things are there. And material and spiritual are opposite. So if there is variety in material world, that means spiritual world should have no variety. Everything is Brahman. No, everything is one without variety. So that is the understanding of a nirviśeṣa, no variegatedness. So this verse can be used very nicely to explain, dear sir, variety in the material world is not an indication that there is no variety in spiritual world. Variety in the material world simply is an indication that the Supreme Personality of Godhead can make it happen. Nirviśeṣa is not lack of spiritual variety. Nirviśeṣa is only material nature without Supreme Lord's touch. That is nirviśeṣa. So we can help them understand. When material nature is by itself, it is completely neutral and without variety. The minute it comes in touch with the factor of time, immediately it manifests many multifolded forms which are very different in nature. So many different kinds of living forms come. So the correct way of understanding nirviśeṣa is not spiritual life has no variety. The correct way of understanding nirviśeṣa is material world without the touch of Supreme Lord has no variety. So we can use this verse to defeat atheists who think that material elements can by themselves create something. Not possible. That is atheism. You remove God. So that we can defeat them. It's not possible just material element will create something. And the second defeating is nirviśeṣa. We can explain to them what is nirviśeṣa. So we can use this verse to defeat these two classes of people. Then Prabhupada gives in Bhagavad-gītā, Prabhupada gives the analogy of a parrot. There is a green parrot, and when the green parrot goes into a green tree filled with many green leaves, there's a tree with many green leaves. Does the green parrot become green leaf? No. It goes there to meet his wife parrot, baby parrot. A whole family situation is going on. Fight, building house, making eggs, producing, everything goes on in the green tree. But when you are outside and when you don't understand, what do you think? The green parrot went inside and now I can't see. It has also become green. So green parrot has become green leaves. That is wrong understanding. So when we give up this material world and when we enter spiritual world, we are not entering any kind of nirviśeṣasya. We are going through the Brahman, but that is not our eternal existence. We will go there and we will have our spiritual family. We will all be serving Krishna, there will be kirtan, there will be harinam, everything, chanting, prasadam, everything will be happening. We do not become, we parrots do not become green leaves. Yeah? So that somebody who understands that is having poor understanding. Yeah? So we can use this verse to clarify these ideas. So what happens? So that's two things. Time can show you fear, and time can show you how creation happens. It creates, and as a destructive potency, it can set fear. So these two things time does. So what do devotees do with time? How do devotees deal with time? How do they feel about time? Do devotees feel fear? Do devotees also think like, oh no, it is like I cannot tolerate the effect of time. I'm becoming old. My skin is becoming wrinkled. My hair is getting, it's becoming gray. How do we look at time? So devotees have this very, very clear understanding that Krishna is the controller of time. Krishna is beyond time. And that is how you can be controller of something. If you are inside something, you are part of it. You are not controller of it. If you are beyond it, only then you can be controller. So devotees know that the influence of time can be reversed, can be stopped, literally, when we take shelter of Krishna. So devotees are not afraid of time. They are neither afraid of death, nor are they afraid and bewildered by this agitating potency that creates this whole variegated material universe. Neither of the two is scary for them, bewildering for them. Why? Because they see the full picture. Time is doing all of that, but time is Krishna. So Krishna is doing all of this. And when I take shelter of Krishna, then Krishna will take care of me. Krishna will protect me. And so what is the purpose of this time? What is the purpose? Why at all go through all this agitating potency to create material variegatedness? What is the point? Why do we need this time? And this understanding why we need time is what will make us become free of the fear of time. Time is doing a very simple task. The task of time is to take the living entities, conditioned living entities, and put them in the material world. And then inside the material world, while going through these ups and downs of this creation, they become purified. They become rectified in their way of thinking and accept Krishna, surrender again. And time will immediately release and they will go back to Godhead. Yeah, so Bhagavatam explains this process in this beautiful verse. Ayur harati vai pumsam udyan ashtam chayan asau tasyarte yat kshano nita uttama sloka vartaya. So there is two sections. The first two lines are for people who don't understand Krishna's time. The second two lines are for people who understand what is time, which are devotees. So Ayur Harati. Ayu means your age and Harati means removing, diminishing. So what does time do to people who are not devotees? With every udyan and ashtam, with every rising of sun and falling of sun, what is it doing? It is reducing your life. If your life is 100 years, you are destined to live 100 years. One sunrise, one sunset, it is 100 years minus 1 day. One sunrise, one sunset, 100 years minus 2 days. So it is a countdown always. For people who are not devotees, that is the effect of sun, that it will create a countdown, dudun, dudun, dudun. And closer you go to the countdown, scarier you feel. Oh no, I'm becoming sick. And then you start telling, please, you take care of this, please chant your rounds, make sure whatever you want to tell, when you understand, time is catching me, so whatever they want to tell, people who are undergoing this Ayur Harati, probably they're not thinking of chanting. They will be like, I have this money in this go down, there is so much money inside of this well I have hidden. Many times they want to talk and they cannot talk. And the children are like, yes, dad, yes, mom, what do you want to say? I have so much money, it's hidden here, but nothing is coming because of the disease, because of the impact, subduer, completely the time can't allow you to talk. So you're thinking, I hid all this money so I can give it to my children. Now I can't even tell. I want to speak, but nothing is coming out. Time completely curbs you, and it is very fearful. So that Ayur Harati happens for people who are not surrendered to Krishna. And then what happens to people who are surrendered to Krishna? How do they spend their time? That particular time, there is a arti, there is an exception. Yeah? Tasyarti, that is an exception. And what is that exception? That exception is for the kshananita, that time that is used for what? Uttama sloka vartaya. So if you use your time for glorifying the Lord, chanting is glorifying Lord, studying Bhagavad-gītā is glorifying Lord, hearing Bhagavatam, reading Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, all these activities are glorifying Lord. So when you are following this process of glorifying the Lord, then you get an exception. Then you get a tasyarti, an exception. You will not be subjected to this time factor. It will not, does it mean you will not have Ayu Harati? Bhagavatam class started at 8 and time is flowing, it's 8:42. So time is acting, right? So what does that mean? My life has reduced by 42 minutes already. Even though we are sitting and listening to Bhagavatam, speaking Bhagavatam, has time stopped? That would be very difficult for some of us. If like, oh no, Mataji is talking and it's still 8 o'clock. It's still 8 o'clock. It's still 8 o'clock. I'm so hungry. So time doesn't stop per se. Yeah, we also experience the flow of time. But for us, it is not countdown. We are going towards eternal life. We are not thinking, my 100 years minus 1 day, 100 years minus 2 days, 100 years minus. We don't have that countdown. When time flows for devotees, it is taking you towards infinite time. In Bhagavad-gītā, Krishna said, in Bhagavad-gītā 8:16, Krishna says, Madhama gatva punarjanma na vidyate. When you are a devotee, what happens when you die, when you leave the body? You are going to reach Krishna's Krishna's abode. You will reach Krishna's abode. And what happens when you reach Krishna's abode? Punarjanmana, cycle of birth and death. Cycle of birth and death is time. Birth is creation, death is destruction, and that is exactly the role of time. And Krishna says, na vidyate, you will not be anymore subjected to it. You will not anymore go through that time factor at all. In fact, when somebody goes to spiritual world, the time has a very different role to play. When Krishna wants, the Rasa Purnima night will be going for 3 months. And where you think like, oh, I am so much far away, it is actually few seconds only. I'm so far away, it's just few seconds. And then when you are with Krishna, it just looks like I'm few seconds with Krishna, but it is, 3 months they were dancing. 3 months was all one Ras Purnima night. No? So time is a person there in spiritual world, and the job of that person is to facilitate your devotional service. So when we become servant of Krishna, time will help us serve him nicely. And when we are not servant of Krishna, then it will show you how it can do. Ayur harati. I will take your life, reduce it. I will subdue you, that you can't speak. It will create that fear, not in a malicious way. None of this is done by Krishna to harangue you. What is the purpose of putting that fear, subduing the conditioned soul, showing this power? What is the purpose? Yes, to change you, make you turn back to Krishna. Yeah? And on both cases, it's good. Time is always good. It comes as a threatening death factor or comes as someone who helps you in service, is always good. Is always well-wisher. So devotees are not scared of time. So summarizing, we see that Kapila Muni is talking about time as an answer to the third question of Queen Devahuti. She asks to compare Bhakti with Gyan and Ashtanga Yoga. And this section we're talking about Gyan, which is talking about the Prakriti and Purusha and the kāla that creates the interaction. This particular section is about kāla. And we saw that kāla has two functions. It creates fear and it creates the agitating potency required for creating variety. And using this verse, we can easily defeat the concept of nirviśeṣasya. Material variegatedness is a sign of spiritual variegatedness, not the opposite. And we can defeat atheists by explaining that thinking that only material elements can create something is like thinking you will get milk from nipples of the neck of the goat. Yeah, that it is of no value. And then we talked about how devotees deal with time. We are not afraid of time because time is not reducing our life, time is increasing our life. Time is taking us towards Krishna, where once you go to his abode, we will not face repeated birth and death. The influence of time completely stops there. And time, on contrary, will help you in your service. So that is the summary. Thank you very much. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. So if there are any comments or questions.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Mataji, my question was, when we die, how much time it takes to get another body?
Whoa. I have to find out. If you find out, share with me. I'm not really sure. They say that 13 days, when my mother-in-law left her body, my husband was talking to Jananivas Prabhu. And he was telling that for 13 days, the soul lingers. Yeah? And he said, if you're very attached to her as a son, then these 13 days you should mourn. You cannot come to temple. It's considered a muchi period. You cannot come to temple and all. And if you identify yourself as a devotee more than her son, then you should come to temple. You can continue worshipping of the Lord. So I got that number 13 from Jananivas Prabhu, that the soul stays around for 13 days. And there are some rituals you do, like, like you submerge the ashes and you do Vaishnava Bhojan and things like that. And that eventually the soul comes in turn with the idea that, oh, the body is gone, and I have got all these blessings in the form of different rituals. So I'm going forward like that, So that is something I heard. I have not studied. I don't have reference. So if any of you know, kindly share.
I heard it's based on case-to-case basis. If it's a very sinful body, it takes longer time to get another body. And suicide, it's many years like that.
yes.
Case-to-case basis.
Yeah. They remain in the subtle body for 7 births, which is like 700 years more or less. Yeah. Yes, thank you for sharing that.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you for class. Mataji, in Bhagavad-gītā it says, Kalosmi lokashya krit pravurto. Time I am the greatest destroyer of the worlds. So that refers to the material world, is it? So in the spiritual world also there is time. So this particular world, this particular verse is meant for the material world?
Yes. Yeah, the Virat Rup is a temporary manifestation that shows the entire universe in one place. It is not something from the, like Narasimha Dev is from spiritual world, But Virat Rup of the Lord is just a temporary manifestation to show how all material elements are in one place. Arjuna will tell that to Krishna. I'm seeing the entire universe, all the demigods are there, all the planets are there, everything in existence is in, one place, So Virat is just, Virat Rup is just showing that I can bring everything that is in this universe in one place and show you that I am the controller of the entire material creation. So the destruction is also about that particular manifestation of material creation. Is that okay, Prabhu?
Mataji, thank you for your lecture. Hare Krishna Mataji, thank you for your lecture. I would like to know why we make one ritual after 11 days. Because when my spiritual master left the body, there were many rituals, but I think 8 days or 11 days after. Do you know the significance from such rituals?
The significance of doing different rituals, that is 2 aspects to it. One aspect is to give them the sense that they are not in this body anymore. Please don't hover around, because this body, your journey in this body is finished. And another aspect is to give them, through these rituals, give them good credit. When you put that til and rice and oil, water and all, that becomes their nourishment. Some spiritual credit is, some pious credit is given to them, that nourishes them. If people don't do those rituals, then the forefathers are not protected. That was one of the worries Arjuna had. If all the people die, there's a destruction of dynasty. When Arjuna talks about that in the first chapter, one of the things he worries about is if all the men go and die, then the women are unprotected, unwanted children will come, and the unwanted children will not know what are the proper rituals to perform. Then the forefathers will be affected. The people who are dead and gone, if you don't do rituals, they are not going to get liberated. So the ritual, of course, when somebody is a spiritual personality, the purpose of ritual is nothing to do with them. Once Jananivas Prabhu was mentioning in class that when a devotee dies, he doesn't even know that he is dead. For him, it is like you sleep and wake up. Nothing changes. You still keep doing only the same service, only that people who saw you in that body cannot see you anymore in that body. But you will continuously live only that very same, Govindam Adipurusham, holding the mirror, and that is all. Your life will never change. There is nothing different happening with a devotee. But we celebrate for our own purification. Whatever rituals we do is for us to remember them, and for us to seek their blessings, for us to understand how to die. So if they are wonderful spiritual personalities, the rituals are meant for our purification. If they are ordinary people, then it serves two purposes: to give them some pious credit and to make the soul realize, don't hover around, we are closing business here, to give that sense. Is that okay, Mataji?
Hare Krishna Mataji, please accept my humble obeisance and all glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Assembly Vaishnav here. Mataji, I have questions. If the living entity is in the spiritual world, then they will never come back to the material world. So why the living entity coming here and suffering again? If someone will go to the spiritual world, never come back, then how again come back and suffering here?
Yeah. That's a very controversial question. Some people say that we never were in the spiritual world. When we were created, we came with the mentality of opposing Krishna, and that's why we came to material world. And when that mentality is straightened out, we go to spiritual world and we never come back. So so that aligns with the thought that you will never, my name bhakta pranashyati, my devotees will never perish. Krishna will always protect. So once he takes you out of this material world, you make your choice. It's not like Krishna is saying, come on, let's go. Of course Krishna is saying, but you also make that choice. Enough, I don't belong here, So you do not come back. So that is one understanding. And the other understanding is they were in spiritual world, then they had envy towards Krishna and they fell down, and then they rectified their behavior and they went back. So once I was asking this in one lecture, and that Maharaj was telling me, if you are in a building, the material creation is like 14-story building, 14 planets are there. And let's say you are in the 8th planet, you are in the 8th floor, and there is fire, so much fire burning everywhere. So will you sit and think, how did I come in this floor? Was I always here, or did I come for some purpose? Do we ever contemplate these things? How will I get out, right? So he said, this question should actually never bother anyone. Whatever might be the reason you are in this material world, the point is you have to get out. You were with Krishna, you developed envy and you came down, or you were created with them. When you came out, you came with this mentality that you don't want to be servant of Krishna. We don't know. Actually, truthfully, this is not something we can speculate and guess. But what we know for sure is, if there is fire, this world is like fire, it's like fire around us. So we do not sit there and think, is this correct? Let's spend some time arguing. No, let's spend some time creating strategy to get out. And what is the strategy? Devotion. So let's do devotion. Doesn't matter. You came for this reason or that reason, doesn't matter. Is that okay?
Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji. The essence of everything is given in Bhagavatam. Janma labha param pumsam ante Narayana smriti. If you remember Narayan, you don't have to come back in 8,400,000 species of lives. That's fine.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila